Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the NEXXTCAR podcast. Man, we have got a lot to talk about today, but as always, we're joined by a couple of two-time winners here in Season 7 of the NEXXTCAR Truck Series. Matt Tucker, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
How's it going, man? We got Super Bowl tonight. Got Daytona 500 next weekend, February. Good sports time of the year, so just leads up into March and then April. Like everything's going great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's talk about your season real quick before we go into our other co-host here. 2 wins this season. You got it done at your home track a couple of weeks ago at Indianapolis, and then you also got it done at Chicagoland in week 2. It's been a little bit since that week 2 win and then Indianapolis, but it's been a pretty solid season, currently sitting inside the top 5 heading into what will be the regular season finale in a couple of weeks at Darlington.
Yeah, quietly just had a steady, consistent year. Only one race that I finished outside the top 10 out of the 9 so far, and that was at Phoenix when I had stuff happen. But stuff happens, so haven't really got the stage points that we wanted to get, but still overall can't complain. Like having 8 out of the 9 finishes in the top 10 when we've had 25 plus guys every week out. So nothing really to complain about. I wish kind of win a little bit more. It was good getting that win at Indy, but Indy's always been my best track that I go to. So mile and a halfs are going to be pretty big, and then the playoffs. So knowing that I won at Chicagoland and ran good at Charlotte, got third place there. So gives a little bit of confidence. So, but Peyton's trying to put his name in the hat now after winning back-to-back weeks at Rockingham and Michigan. So I think Peyton's only led 10 laps though, and those 2 wins too. So that's kind of crazy that Peyton just snuck up there. I keep teasing him saying he got Tuck wins. So, but you got to be there at the end too, and Peyton's put himself in striking distance. So, but we'll see how this goes. I'm trying to get more bonus points too for the playoffs also, because we got the playoff points for regular season standings. So. In kind of striking distance to get third, so we'll see how that goes. I think Peyton's trying to hold off there Kevin Winker for 5th. So he's gonna have to have pretty good stages if he wants to get me or Noah, but we'll see how it goes. So can't say nothing hasn't ever happened in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's go ahead and jump to the other piece of the pie here, the NEXXTCAR podcast, and that's Peyton Tullock. You heard it. Tuck mentioned back-to-back wins here heading into these 2 weeks off, and then obviously Darlington in a couple of weeks. But you mentioned when you got that first win, excuse me, back at Rockingham. You mentioned it had been 400 some days since you had found your way to the victory lane in a truck series, but now you've done it in back-to-back races.
Yeah, talk about flipping the season. That number was 448. It had been a while. 3 races ago, we were sitting on the cutoff line up 4 points. Stressing out, man, we're going to be clutch these next few weeks. We're going to have good runs just to make the playoffs. Now, we've won 2 races, so 10 playoff points instantly just like that. And, the thing that's not really talked about, we've jumped up from 12th to 5th, so yes, it's obviously put us in we should make it as long as we start at Darlington, but the bigger story of that is the playoff points that means. We're going to get about a race or so of another race win, essentially, of playoff points added to our total. So we're going to go from a situation where we're going to enter the playoffs, hopefully, with probably no playoff points, maybe a couple, to probably around 15, 16 or so now. That's a huge amount of points jumped up. So we've done a great job the last couple of weeks to put us in position to now kind of be a threat in the playoffs, like we kind of talked about with momentum and everything. Tuck's kind of giving me a hard time about lap sled, but we had 24 the last 2 weeks combined, and to be fair, at Rockingham, we did have to hold off a hard charge and a couple of late race restarts. We had to kind of hit perfect, and then I ran top 5 at Michigan the whole race. I was there for the stage win and everything, so you just got to put like we talked about in this podcast before, you just got to put yourself in position to win, and if you're just hanging out there, you're bound to win eventually. So it's kind of what happened to us last 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Let's jump into thick of it all because, boys, do we got a lot to cover here today because, yeah, we've missed 3 weeks of NEXXTCAR action, but there's been a lot of other things that have happened in the sports world. You guys talked about earlier the Super Bowls tonight. We got that going on. NASCAR is back, baby. They had their clash. We'll talk about that at the first time at Bowman Gray, so we'll get into all that. But yeah, we've got a lot to break down and digest today. And hey, it all started with a chaotic Indianapolis Motor Speedway race in the Truck Series. You know, Tuck, you came away. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but you came away with that home track win. You mentioned it. That is one of your favorite tracks ever. But it was interesting this time around because the last couple times we've been there, you've had the same people out front. You've had Nicholas Trudeau, Jonathan Duncan. But this season, it was different. You had other guys that stepped up to the plate and was able to deliver. And then at the end of it all, it was you.
Yeah, I mean, it was really the first first two stages, because that was a crown jewel race also. Me and Braden Avila both were kind of working together with that. And then he ended up winning both stages too. But that second stage, I mean, me and Peyton and other guys played a little bit different strategy, kind of gave up those stage points. Pitting with two, 3 to go, coming to the stage because of how big Indy is, you won't go a lap down. So I mean, that kind of put us in kind of a different box than what Braden was, and he ran out of gas coming across the finish line too. So I mean, I would rather gave up those stage points for the race win points too. And then running them down at the end too. That was a little bit hectic because the last time I was in that situation, I lost the championship in Xfinity last year to David. So that's what I was thinking about. But yeah, I mean, Indy was great. That was probably the most calm race we've had on the season. I would say there was one or two cautions. It was back to back. We had the restart caution,
Correct.
and
Yep.
then we had
It was a total of 4 cautions, 2 stages.
Yeah, the 2 stages and then the 2 incidents. So that was probably the cleanest race that we've had all year, which is kind of crazy after what happened a couple of years ago there on the very first lap. So yeah, I mean, it was good to get the win.
Yeah, once you made the pass, I believe it was within 10 to go, I think it was, or right at 10 to go, Tuck. You set sail, and I mean, you came out to a 3.5 second gap at the start finish line.
It was about like that. It was kind of, I think the craziest part, you and Lamphere weren't even watching me. You just already gave me the win. You were watching Noah Jackson go from 6th to 3rd in the last 2 laps. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was hooking and booking, man. You know, and Jackson, you got to feel bad for him at this stage of the season. You know, the dude, that 08 is probably the fastest truck on the track week in and week out. But you look at that win column and it's still an egg. You know, you got to wonder, when is that win going to finally come for Jackson? And he's been so close so many times. Couple second place finishes, a lot of third place finishes. When is he finally going to break the barrier to victory lane, Peyton?
Yeah, I mean, he leads the series in top 5, so he's right there every week. It's just, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's been a rough season for Jackson. He's been so close so far, leads the series in top 5, so you kind of feel like he's bound to win eventually. The real thing that's going to hurt him about this whole thing is all those guys around him in points have at least a couple wins now. He has 0, so when we start these playoffs, he's going to be in a hole, and that's going to put him in a vulnerable situation, especially a lot of hungry guys behind him. So he could really use a win one of these next few weeks, whether to advance in the playoffs or whatever, just to get those playoff points up. So I know the guy's hungry, but I'm sure he's going to get a victory lane eventually, right?
I mean, at this point, I would assume so. But, you know, you mentioned it. Those guys around him all have a lot of bonus points. And, you know, when everything gets reseeded, when the bonus points get added to the current points, yeah, he might be currently sitting 3rd in the points or 2nd. Not sure exactly where he is. But when all these bonus points gets added, he might find himself back in that 5th, 6th position. And that's not where you want to be coming out of this first round. Because, yeah, we mentioned it, Tuck. This is a wild card round, and if you survive round 1, round 2 gets even worse with Bristol. You know, so you don't have those points necessarily to fall back on, and if he's going to find himself battling for that championship trophy, he's going to have to find a way to victory lane, because, like you mentioned at the start of the podcast, we do a whole different format for the playoffs. It goes back to that win in your in scenario.
I mean, yeah, I think Noah's also biggest competitor has been his internet the last couple of weeks too. I mean, he was leading in at Michigan and then had that issue, and then he was 8 laps down. So I mean, I feel like if he doesn't have that happen, he also is probably in second in points right now above Colin. Um, that's also that's also a key wild card when you come to like just simulation racing in general. It's just like you never know when something's gonna go wrong. But I feel like he's been consistent. It kind of reminds me of Sheldon Creed in the Xfinity Series. He always just is right there at the end and gets second. So I think once he gets one win, kind of like what Peyton did, once he gets one, like the wins will just start clicking off for him too. I mean, he's obviously been competitive the whole season. He's got the most top fives out of anybody with 7 of the 9 races he's raced. So, um, I mean, it's not like he's not going to be a contender when we come to the playoffs. I mean, it's just going to be whether or not um, points are going to matter for him.
The next week at Rockingham in the Truck Series, well, Peyton, you were finally able to, you mentioned it, 440 some days, finally get that Chevy to victory lane.
Yeah, it was awesome to finally win the trucks. It almost felt I haven't been that excited since winning my last Cup championship, just because like it's been. We talk about week in out. It's just been a struggle for me in truck. I mean, maybe even since the series started, it always feels like I have bad luck in the series. So just to finally get that monkey off my back. I mean, very apparently it was nice to get off because we followed it up the next week with a win. But yeah, it was just huge. Like I was very, very happy we finally got that one off. So yeah, I'm just still baffled that it took that long. I never thought like when I won at Kansas that night where Ryan won the championship, that would be my last win truck for a while, but it was. So it's kind of a friendly reminder. Like you never know, when you win a race, you never know when it might be your last one or when you'll get the next. So you gotta enjoy when you get them.
Yeah, absolutely. But you mentioned it. You had to fight off some hard charges. I mean, you had to battle Sean there in those closing laps. You had to go to the overtime restarts to survive. Then you had Noah Jackson, who we were just talking about, breathing down your neck. Matt Tucker, he was right there with you. So you had, and then Colin Bollinger. So you had a lot of hard hitters up there that you had to hold off. And a lot of other guys along with you had great nights that night. Kevin Winker, 6th place finish. Christopher Thomas, 7th place. And then Nicholas Don Francisco, this has been a season. I know we talk about a lot David Chandler and his fall from grace, and this being a season that he doesn't enjoy. But this hasn't really been Nicholas Don Francisco's season either in that Napa 24. But for him to finally come out and get that top 10, and, it wasn't just a great breakout race for you, but a lot of other guys had a great races they needed as well.
Yeah, I won't lie. We had a lot of guys near me that I'm pretty sure would have wrecked me for the win. So I was a little nervous those last restarts. But like you said, not only did I have a great race, but we had a lot of guys. We talked about last podcast that we're eventually going to get to this moment where guys are really going to start point racing, and we've seen it the last few weeks. And you're seeing guys put up consistent finishes with great points standings, finishes in the stage. And I mean, you look at the points, and it shows. I mean, our last spot, we have a tie right now. So guys are digging for every point they can get, and it's causing a lot of awesome racing out there around that bubble. And not to call Nick out or anything, but I think his weakest part of his driving is we all have bad tracks. But when Nick goes to a track that he does not like, it seems like he can never capitalize and at least make something out of the day. So I pray for him. Darlington is not one of those tracks that he doesn't like, because if Nick Trudeau does not like Darlington and goes in here and has one of his days where he just runs in the back and spins out and has a rough day, the dude won't make the playoffs. So there's a lot of pressure on a guy who has had tons of speed in this league, is one of the guys we circle as a dark horse to the championship. He might not even make the playoffs if he has a bad race.
But I'm glad you brought Nick up, but you can't look at the standings and say, "Oh, that's the story of his season." You automatically have got to think back to Dover. If he does not get that dump and run for the win, and he gets that win, that's 17 more points that he is up in the standings, because he fell from first, finished 18th at Dover. That is a ton of points. And when you're talking about the winning you're in no longer being a thing in the regular season, you need those points. And it just, your brain, Tuck, automatically has to think back to Dover. If he does not make the playoffs by 1, 2, 3, however many points, Dover is going to replay in Nick's head for a long time.
I mean, that's the thing too. Nick has not forgotten about Dover. I mean, he kind of like brings it up too. So, um, I mean, him missing last week at Michigan was also could be a thing. I mean, obviously we got stuff going on, but that's why we get last place points too. But you never know. I mean, if he doesn't make the playoffs, that's gonna be like you said, like the one like key factor is the ending at Dover. Um, and I just feel like, I mean, he's obviously got enough like speed to run top 5, top 10 all the time. So, um, if he just goes out and just be like I said with like Sean and Tristan Cotton too, if they just go whoever is the most consistent at Darlington's gonna be the ones that are in the playoff field, and then um, totally like re-switch everything around. Then like going into Texas, like you're gonna race totally different. You're not gonna be points racing. You're just be going for wins too. So um, we'll see how it goes. I mean, another guy to think about right there that's also been consistent this year that has had a couple of bad weeks is Plant. I mean, he's been top 5 most of the regular season. And then last week I know at Rockingham he got into it, and then I mean Rockingham wasn't one of his best tracks, he said. But then last week at Michigan, like he got spun from the lead from Robert, and then he got in another wreck, and then got in another wreck after that, and then that ruined his race. So that could also happen to Nick, Corey Taylor, Tristan, and Sean at Darlington too. So never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the big thing, like, continue on Nick, is when we get to this battle, like, you see the first 2 guys outside the playoffs right now, they are guys that are kind of Ross Chastain-esque, where, I mean, it's going to be wreckers or checkers for both Sean and Robert. We've seen that throughout their career. They're going to do everything they can to get in the playoffs. Like, if it comes down to them having to be in an uncomfortable situation, they're going to take that risk. Whereas somebody like Nick, I think Nick is one of the most clean drivers we have in the series. Like, if he's in the same situation as Colin at Dover, he's not putting the bumper to it. Like, that's not Nick. So putting drivers like that in a situation where they're going against guys that are way more aggressive, can he kind of combat that? Can he keep his cool or continue just being consistent like the Nick we know? It's going to be really interesting to watch all those drivers, not just Nick, but you know, Taylor, Cotton, even guys like you said, Plant and Alberto aren't safe. And then Hassan kind of being the sleeper pick down the list. Like that's going to be an awesome battle to watch next week. It's going to be hard for Ryan to keep up with all this in the booth. But I wish you luck, buddy. But it's going to be one heck of a show, and I wish all those guys the best of luck.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm looking forward to it because Lanphier and myself, we're going to have a ton of stories to talk about in 2 weeks at Darlington because, you know, we talked about it last week in Michigan. Well, Peyton, you got it done for 2 weeks in a row, but man, it was an absolute. It was an interesting race. We'll just say that for Michigan and what it is. You know, it was a slaughter fest. That's pretty much what it was.
We had some good green flag runs, but then you also had some really not good green flag runs and just everybody wrecking on restarts too. But I mean, for 8 good races, you're gonna have one bad race.
And, absolutely.
Yeah, and you just guys making mistakes too. Like I made a mistake getting damaged and like checking up right in front of David. I mean, stuff happens. Like I mean, we're not all professionals in this, but I mean, it just wasn't like a very like people. I mean, that's the one thing too about Michigan because it was a draft heavy track, so track position mean a lot. Mm-hmm. I think that's also what played in the factor is everyone was trying for track position too, and that's why everybody was kind of driving over their heads.
I mean, like I said, it was a crazy race. I feel like there was some awesome racing up front. There was just times where some silly mistakes happened. But that's what happens when, like we talked about. I mean, it's 2 races before. People are going for it. Like, I know drivers will be mad if I didn't shout him out. I mean, Robert Babcock did me a huge solid because, I mean, he's a guy on that cutoff line. We just talked about it. The guy was going for every point at the end because he has to. I mean, he entered Michigan 32 points behind the cutoff line. He left 12. That's a huge jump. 20 points in one race is absolutely massive. It put him in the playoff hunt now. He is fully in going into Darlington with a shot. So I mean, if he doesn't do what he did the last laps, like who knows if he leaves like that? I mean, that's just Robert's style of driving. And I got lucky to put myself in a position to be ahead of the guys who were battling for all those points at the end. So you could tell there was desperation at Michigan, and it kind of led to some stuff on track. But hey, it happens every once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a part of racing, but Colin Ballinger at Michigan found himself in that same scenario. Obviously, I don't think any of it was really his own doing. He just found himself in some really bad situations. And at one point, I had him written out. I was like, he's done. This is, hand the regular season championship to Avila because Colin's not coming back from this. Noah Jackson had his incident where he sat on pit road for a while getting a lot of damage fixed in that 08. And when that checkered flag flew, man, it was Avila and Ballinger bumper to bumper for second and third. It was a crazy rebound for that 03 of Ballinger.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that Colin does good all the time is like he's consistent. I mean, Grant, like he hasn't dominated races like I know he wants to, but I mean, he still is getting good finishes also. That's one thing I think me and him have a good mindset too is like we'll like take the finishes if like when we need them. And then also the aggressive side too. I mean, because Colin is willing to do whatever he can to get a win also. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't really see him at all much at Michigan. I mean, not as much as what Kevin Winker and Christopher Thomas did. They saw everything in Michigan. But yeah, so it kept him alive because 20 points is doable when we have two stages to like earn more points. And you never know, 5 playoff points could be reason why you make the championship 4 versus why you miss out of the round of 12 too. So you never know what's going to happen.
Don't forget that coming to the white flag. I mean, if Colin doesn't overdrive 3 and 4 and get into the wall behind me in the air, I think he's got a great chance to win the race. He was on a little bit better tires than me. He had a little more speed. He had the momentum. If he just doesn't overpush that corner, who knows what happens. So Colin had a fantastic rebound that race. Like for multiple times we thought he was out, and here he comes. So yeah, shout out to I mean, that's one of those drives that you'll look back on. Like even if he doesn't end up being the regular season champion, like it probably is going to get him a spot or two better in points than it would have if he didn't have that rebound. So massive shout out to him. It was an impressive race.
Yeah, and let's not skip over some of the other guys that had great races. Tuck, your boy Austin Schultz, 4th. Great run for him coming away with a top 5. Andrew Bolander, I know you hear the name and you know this, you think about the success that he's had in NEXXTCAR, but this season he has yet to really put a solid race together, but he's finally able to do it at Michigan for a top 5. Babcock, we talked about it, gaining 20 points in one race. Got it done
Alberto
in 6.
got the stage win.
Alberto, stage win. Hassan, 7th place, got himself right back up there for that battle for the playoffs. David Durand, he's a part-timer in trucks, but came away with the 8th place finish. And then Corey Taylor, another guy that needed a great race, got it done in the top 10, but still finds himself in that big battle for the playoffs. But some of these guys that really needed to head into Michigan, get good points, get good finishes, well, they got it. You go further down the results from Michigan, well, I know he's probably getting tired of hearing it on the podcast, but chalk this up as another week that did not go the way that number wanted, David Chandler wanted. It was less eventful for him. I don't think he went flipping this week, but
he tried to.
He tried to. He almost did, but yeah, he finished 22nd, 18 laps down, and just the not so good season keeps getting worse for him.
And don't forget, like, to throw a name on the same list would probably be Napa. I mean, those are 2 guys. Like, Napa's had success in the series. I mean,
he's a regular season champion not too long ago.
Former regular season NEXXTCAR truck champion, and has found himself like 2 points away from David. I mean, they're in the same dang boat. They both lead the series in incident points. Like, extremely similar. Both have 1 top 10 to their name. It has been for both of them. I think they'll kind of shake hands and walk off in the sunset, ready for the next dang season to start.
I don't think those 2 are shaking hands.
Maybe not.
I don't think anyone wants to shake Don Francisco's hand right now because He's not the only one, but it seems like no matter what he does or anyone else does, it's just at this point in the Truck Series, you sneeze, you're gonna have a rival. It's like it doesn't seem to matter what happens.
I will put after Darlington. I will put out my odds to win the championships for both the.
Oh, here we go. That's always a tradition.
Yeah, that's always what you want.
Controversial.
Yeah, that always gets a lot of people happy.
It always has been, but it's always been like the top 2 or 3 people of those odds have always won the championship though. So
bull crap!
I was gonna say that is 100% debatable.
You always put my name in Cup like 4th or 5th, and how many championships I got?
Don't look last year. You won last year the Cup, right? Let's go. Well, after this, we'll go back and look.
I didn't win last year.
No, Colin did.
Yeah, I think last year was finally the first time you gave me props, and it jinxed
and it backfired.
So maybe you should put me lower. Maybe I should complain.
Yeah,
I think Ronnie's currently odds are at plus 15,000 to make.
How you doing?
The win championship.
Who?
Ronnie's plus 15,000.
Hey.
I'd say higher than that. He'd take a miracle, bro. He's probably plus $1 million, right?
Hey, it be what it be. It's what happens when you take a year off and.
Hey, don't worry. All Ronnie's got to do at Kansas is claim technically it is a send-off race to the off season. So bam, he can win it.
Right.
Ronnie,
I'll win that one.
Ronnie, you are 51 points behind Brock Bigelow. Yeah. So let's say you max out your points. What is that? 35.
You can get 60 off of just finish and stage, and then bonus points to the reward. You can get 63 or something max. I think.
Something like that. You're gonna have to win.
And he's got to miss. The only way it's possible is one of those guys misses and doesn't. Yeah. Cup, we pretty much know it. There's a lot of guys with their name in green right now. If Ronnie puts out the graphic of who's clinched.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah,
nothing to be ashamed though coming back.
Go ahead.
So nothing to be ashamed though coming back. I mean, you said, you've been gone forever.
Not at all.
Absolutely not. Yeah, you got to remember, we've all got to continue practicing and getting better and better. We've had more competition come to the league. That skill gap, our skill of the league has continued to go up each and every season. And you see guys who've had success in the series before struggling because of that. Whereas you were gone. You didn't get that chance to continue to improve. So
I'm not making excuses, but if you go back and watch my first 3 races back, you watch the NCAR broadcast, you'll see every pit stop I'm taking tires because I'm still trying to get back into the swing of unchecking tires and unchecking fast repair and.
Or if you go back over and watch you blow a tire right before.
Anyway. Or, you go back and watch me get spun off a cat's front bumper or door slammed by Nick at Myrtle Beach or,
Hey, I will say this, though. Hey, you have 202 points in the Cup Series.
Or, Sean Walton coming down the track in front of you.
Listen to me. You have 202 points in the Cup Series. You put yourself in the Truck Series, you're right in the thick of things to make the playoffs because 12 points is 219.
That is fair. That is fair. So you got to kind of put in perspective. So.
Yep.
Which would definitely be more of an accomplishment because there's more drivers in truck.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
Well, just maybe do a points transfer and that way you transfer your points over.
Ronnie's changing series right now at the end.
But it's
Ronnie Noggle makes the Truck Series with 1 start.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting Truck Series season so far. We've pretty much had it all, and we haven't even gotten to the playoffs yet. We've had a dump and run for the win. We've had Smith lose it in Phoenix off of turn 4, threw that win away. We've had the rivalries, we've had the fireworks on and off the track. It's just we've had it all. It's I think you mentioned it earlier, Tuck, but this is definitely probably one of the best seasons. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that argue that. But I think this is probably one of the best seasons we've had in NEXXTCAR, and not only numbers-wise, but performance-wise.
Oh, yeah. We had one of the probably craziest NEXXTCAR wrecks ever at freaking Michigan. That's a good one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I said poor Kevin Winker. I mean, we haven't really talked about him much, and he's 6th in the points. That dude has been most consistent. I mean, he's been consistent on the track and doing his daredevil stunts.
Yeah, he's got a flair for the dramatics, Like you mentioned, the flip. Then we did a post-race interview with him, and Well, that was all fireworks and everything else. So, it's always a good time when Kevin Winker's on the track and off the track interviewing.
And he's probably, I mean, if it wasn't for Braden and Noah Jackson, like he'd be in the front runner for like your rookie of the year, like award that like we do. So, and I don't really know. And he ran good at let's say this hypothetically, like he was top 5 at Daytona, like the whole like race too. He's obviously gonna make the playoffs. Let's say like he goes out and wins freaking Atlanta, like he's in the round of 8. Like you never know what's gonna happen.
No.
Yeah.
And that's what makes racing so good.
Yep.
Yeah, he's had speed all year. He's had like arguably about around same speed. as some of
Charlotte,
the
he
top
ran
guys.
good, but spun from the lead.
Yeah, he's just he's ironically kind of had the kind of same-ish season of David, whereas he's had bad luck and just things haven't went his way. But because he's had so great starts to races and stage points and everything, he's way up in points, and he's been able to rebound to have decent finishes in these races. Whether he be flipping 20 times at Michigan or not, like he still finds a way to have a solid day out of it. So like we talk about, anyone could win. He's definitely one of those guys that, I mean, easily could do the same thing I did and win, 1, 2, 3 races in a row. And it's like, oh wow, well here's Winker. So yeah, it's there's too much speed this season, Ronnie. How do we get a field this staff?
I don't know, but I'm here for it. It's been a lot of fun. Lanfear and I, we definitely, you guys have kept us busy. There's no doubt about it. Every turn, every lap, we've got something to talk about. So,
yep.
And then, obviously, that one fan at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the front stretch, that dude was loving the racing the Truck Series was putting on because that dude was on cloud 9.
I mean, like he just transported every lap. It was like he was like getting like sent down from a UFO or something. Yeah. You need to like cut that out, like and like put like a NEXXTCAR shirt on that
guy. God, that was funny. Switch to the camera, and then there's that guy. It's like, bro, get out of my way.
I died so bad saying that. That was so
I think on the broadcast you told Lanfear goes, "What happened?" He goes, I just had a fan jump 60 feet in the air in front of my TV."
Oh God. But yeah, it's been a great truck season, and we still got a cutoff, or the playoff cutoff race coming up, and then obviously the playoffs start. So it's gonna be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. But hey, on the Cup side of things, it's been a little calmer. The last couple of weeks have been pretty interesting. Went to Indianapolis, then we went to a track that NEXXTCAR in the history of this league has never gone to, and I don't ever foresee us ever going back there again either. And then that was Myrtle
really
Beach.
That bad?
It was pretty rough, man. It was pretty rough. And then we had Michigan again. So, yeah, Indy, Peyton, let's get it kicked off there at Indy because, man, Daniel Smith, he kind of started pulling away from the field a little bit here on the Cup side of things for the playoffs.
Yeah, D has just been so consistent, had so much speed in Cup. Like, I'm trying my best to keep up with him, but there has been like absolutely no weakness in this game. He stays out of trouble. Like the dude, like how many incident points do you have right now? I feel like none. Like the dude just has this way. 34. Yeah, 34 right now, which is insane. Light years ahead of everybody. I mean, that's 9 races counted. I mean, he's just staying out of trouble.
That's less than 4 races.
Yeah, Austin Walton has 32.
Yeah, we can change that.
And I mean his running. I mean, listen to these like running positions. Like he's just been on fire. 6.3, 1.2 at Richmond, 7.7, 4.0, 3.1, 4.0, 3.0, 6.6. The dude has 3 races that he's not averaging running in the top 5 the entire race, and they're like just below. Like he's the worst running position average he's got was at Charlotte, and it was a 7.7. And I think that was one race that he got into something. So it's like, bro, he's been on fire. Like, I'd love to think that I'm up there, can give him a run, but he's definitely at least the favorite to make the Final Four. It'd be a shock at this point if he doesn't with all the points he's got. He's got 4 wins. He's probably going to win the regular season championship unless I can throw a Hail Mary here at Darlington. So, I mean, it's been one heck of a season, but that's the thing. We don't have Winston Cup. We got a playoff format. So, it's great that he's had an excellent regular season, but we'll see what happens when we get to the playoffs. I do want to, I do want to apologize because I just remember what happened this race. This was the race that I had my wheel kind of shut off while I was saving fuel, and Colin got absolutely murdered with me once that happened. So sorry to Colin and kind of affecting that race. So I will say D got a little bit lucky how this one fell out at Indy, but yeah, my bad, Colin. You probably could have won that race, wasn't it for technology issues on my end. So sorry, bud.
Yeah, but the thing that strikes me, right, looking at the results from Indy, is the top three. You could even say the top four, and even the top five. The finishing results for those guys don't shock me at all. Daniel Smith has been the class of the field all season long. We mentioned it earlier. Nick Trudeau finished second. He absolutely loves Indy. We talked about his performance earlier. Alberto Abar, third, has had a strong season, complete opposite for both Trudeau and Abar when it comes to the Cup to the Truck. Truck, they're fighting to even make the playoffs, but in Cup, they're sitting solid inside the top five in the standings. And then David Duran, he's had himself a solid season and backed it up with another great top five there at Indy. And then Cat, Andrew Bolander coming away with the top five at Indy. So those top four, even top five, don't surprise me at all. And then a couple other guys had some great runs that needed it. Joseph Bennett in sixth, Austin Walton, Owen Bridges, Don Francisco, all coming away with the top 10. So, not at all surprised by the way that the good God, excuse me, the way this race finished. Let's talk about the next track that we went to, a track that doesn't have a lot of tradition with NASCAR, and I wish it didn't have any kind of tradition with NEXXTCAR, and that was Myrtle Beach. And yeah, complete opposite from Indy. Short track racing at its finest, walked away with 13 cautions, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of bent metal, but at the end of it all, well, Robert Asong, we talked about him in trucks. He's still with a shot at making trucks, but Cubs, just like Nick and Abar, find himself a little bit of a different scenario, but Asong finally getting that win in Cup Series. And who would have thought it had come at Myrtle Beach?
I mean, was Myrtle Beach really that bad as what you guys are saying? Like,
Yeah, Colin, you know how I just apologized to you for, Indianapolis? Screw you for Myrtle Beach. This was a terrible pick. Like, what the hell were you thinking? Like, this crap was god awful. I mean, you could tell we were in a car that was not meant to be out here, guys.
No.
Like, not at all.
With a street stock, it would have been fine. Or like an SRX. Even I think the truck series would have been great there. I think the trucks would have probably put on a really good show. But yeah, you could tell the next gen, they were bottoming it out at every corner. You had to stay in third gear the whole time. You couldn't do anything. And then you had to be careful because they put these stupid ass little turtles in turns 1 and 2 on the bottom. So you had to make sure you didn't hit those or else you were going to fly to God knows where in Egypt. And then you had to be careful down there in 3 and 4 because it was like someone walked around pouring canola oil on the track because you were slipping and sliding everywhere. It was the dumbest thing.
Maybe there was a reason why there wasn't a setup for the freaking Cup Series.
Maybe there's a reason why the NASCAR Cup Series has not raced there since 1938.
And I got crap from Motegi. Motegi was a good race. But yeah, I definitely would say Myrtle Beach would go on the list of top 5, like, hardest and worst tracks we ever drove on. And if it wasn't for that one Cup race at Iowa just being ridiculous, it might be number 1. So shout out to Tuck for saving that situation. But yeah, I will be happy if we don't see Myrtle Beach back on the schedule. And if we do, it better be because, like, I don't know, the Coca-Cola Series went there and made a freaking setup for it, so now it's actually drivable.
Well, Myrtle Beach has been, like, discontinued because there's, like, no racing there whatsoever.
Yeah, no, they shut the track down.
So
wow.
Maybe there's a reason why.
I could say there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Because that track was horrific.
With that being said, Myrtle Beach will be on the season 8 schedule as the season finale, regular season finale for the.
No, absolutely not.
No, it will not. I will say, as we're dogging the track, big shout out though to Hassan. I mean, yes, it was a little bit of a crapshoot and everything, but he put himself in position, got it done, had a clutch restart near the end, and the two guys who had the least incident points all day, Hitman and Andrew, both stayed out of trouble as much as possible and finished 1 and 2. So that was the story of the race: just try to survive, be consistent, and those guys did, and they ended up first and second.
Yeah, my race got started off real good right there in turn 1 on lap 2. Thanks, Nick.
Classic Ronnie and Nick beef.
Maybe Nick just thought you were Colin and decided, hey, I'm just gonna run you over.
Yeah, we kind of met in the middle, but I don't care how you look at it. He was not making that corner anyway. That dude went in there 30 mile an hour over the speed limit. You know what I'm saying? He was not making that corner anyway, but yeah, and then finally rebounded from that incident. Something happened up there in turn 1 again. I slowed 40 mile an hour below the race speed. Think I'm good. Sean goes, "Oh, hey, Ron." Pulls right out in front of me and T-boned him. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me, man. And then yells at me for ARCA braking. I go back and watch the broadcast. I'm doing 48 mile an hour. What are you doing?
It was kind of funny. I went back and watched it and you go, Sean, you idiot.
I would love, Ronnie, it's kind of an idea on the fly for you. In the off season, you go try to make a top 10 NEXXTCAR moments of the season and the not top 10, because I think the Sean incident probably is going to be a good contender for number 1 on that list.
Yeah,
it's actually a good video idea.
It is. That's actually a really good idea. I might need some help with that.
There would be some good ones.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do that for the cup when it's just from Ronnie's POV, though.
Well, no, that's why I save all the broadcasts.
Yeah, you can go
back. I save everything.
Okay,
and maybe,
okay, cool.
And maybe somebody saved the race, we can go back and look at recordings and take a clip out of it or something.
Not top 10 for trucks would be Plant spinning himself off of.
100%. That would be number 1. Absolutely. That would be number 1. Yeah, but then things got back to normal in Michigan. Walked away with 8 cautions, but honestly, it was good racing. Those cautions don't tell the story, Peyton, because much like the truck series, you had to fight for the draft. You had to fight for that high line. And just once again, people being extremely aggressive, knowing that. Yeah.
I feel like track position mattered even more in Cup than in truck. It was tough to go anywhere, especially like 38 and everything. So if you were really good at just kind of manipulating the area, the guy behind you wouldn't really do much. But it was fun racing. We had comers and goers all day long. I felt like it was an overall really clean race. And it was kind of a free for all. Everybody had their elbows up, but I feel like the Cup guys, not to hype them up. I kind of like all season though. I feel like those guys have done a really good job to kind of overshadow the truck, where I feel like the racing's just been a lot. It can be close, but also a lot cleaner at times. And those guys put on a show. So shout out to the Cup Series for having a great race in Michigan, and shout out to Cat for getting it done. We don't get to talk about him. He likes being quiet, but he beat out Plant. If it wasn't for him, Plant would have 5 wins right now. So yeah, big shout out to Cat. So and they had a good little run to the line. So yeah, fun little race.
But yeah, it's kind of been 2 sides of the story for NEXXTCAR this season. The truck has been the rowdy series, and Cup has been the more calm series. And it's been fun.
I will say this though. The good thing about this is we have had 40 guys start at least 1 race in Cup. You've had at least 45 guys start at least 1 race in trucks,
which is wild.
So we have had over 85 entries if you combine the two in both series.
That is absolutely wild. We've never seen numbers like that in NEXXTCAR. See what happens when you actually recruit Tuck.
You know what?
I'm sorry. I had to.
Sorry for trying.
I had to. I'm sorry.
And you're not wrong. But you also have a authority too. Does that make sense?
No.
You have an aura. I don't know. I don't know how to say this. You can attract people to
He is our Dale Jr. is what you're trying to say. Him being here,
thanks.
Bringing some guys in and everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Everybody wants to be behind Dale Jr. Everybody wants to be behind Ron.
And I'm freaking Chick Hicks and just run everybody else.
That's pretty good. I like that comparison.
Kachiga.
Dude gets a trophy and we're all upset, so that's about right. Yeah.
Bring out the piston cup. What's Betty?
Dude, I could see it too. Tuck just grabbing his trophy and running behind the barriers. Everyone's throwing stuff at him. Give me my trophy.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's been fun to see, the two different sides of NEXXTCAR. But don't get it wrong. Cup still has its rivalries out there, and then the big one last week kind of
Sean and
spewed over the top.
Was it Sean and Lamphere that
Oh,
got
yeah.
into it?
Yep.
I mean, isn't Sean's below you in points? It looks like. So
I think so. Yeah.
I think he's only made 7. I don't know. He hasn't done last place. Oh well. But I mean, Sean's a very aggressive person, and if you poke someone as like Lamphere's gonna poke you back. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I kind of we watched some of the replays of it, but if I was Sean, I would not want to like mess with Lamphere because I feel like Lamphere will get you back. But Sean has more things to worry about other than the Cup Series. I mean, than right now. I mean, he more worried about the truck than messing around with Lamphere in the Cup, though.
Oh yeah, because he's very well still in the hunt for that Truck Series playoffs.
Right, and he's what 6 points below you, which is like still 50 out. So he has no shot at making the Cup Series playoffs this week, or next week, or whenever we're racing. So I mean, after what happened, like Peyton, you got probably more insight than what I do, but I'm just going off solely off replays. I mean, it kind of looks like those two were just hard racing each other, and like what we talked about with Michigan, just like draft dependent tracks. Everyone was just fighting each other. Also with like 10 to go too.
I don't know. I think it's just two
Two
guys
hard-headed people.
Hardhead, yeah, I was about to say two hardhead guys that both were mad at each other, and then eventually it bowled over. So it's frustrating when stuff happens like that because it took out a lot of guys, including myself. So kind of took us out of a shot there.
Maybe that's why Sean changed his name. That way, that when he's around Lamphere, he doesn't get wrecked. Maybe that's why Sean changed his name.
Yeah, the whole
he just
who the hell is
he just turns off his push to like talk button. He changes his number and everything. Just acts like he's a brand new guy and just kind of runs around. Probably a good strategy, Sean. Who knows? But I will say, like, there's a lot of pressure on Sean when we go to Darlington for truck because I would say if he finds himself out of the playoffs, he might go down as the biggest disappointment this season in the entire
that's still
league.
David. That's still David.
Oh,
You still
absolutely.
David?
Back-to-back champions in that series, air quotes.
Yeah, that's still David.
He was season 5 truck champion, season 6 Xfinity, and where is he at in season 7?
I mean, okay. I guess it. But David only runs one series, where Sean runs 2, and I mean, you see what's happened. So he's at least up there as a big disappointment. I thought Sean, like my prediction going into the season, when he was going to continue having that speed and developing, and I thought he was going to be a guy that could go out here, win races, and be a championship, maybe not like a favorite, but at least a dark horse bare minimum. And we just haven't seen it consistently. So that's one of those guys that I would not want to be. I don't want to be around near Darlington. He's going to send it.
Well, boys, NASCAR is back. And just like NEXXTCAR last couple of weeks, well, NASCAR had a first-time trial down there at the Bowman Gray Stadium for the Clash, and I'll be honest, it was a much better race than I thought it'd be. Glad to see it finally leave the LA Coliseum.
Yeah, Justin Haley was trying to race like me in the NEXXTCAR Truck Series. It looked like.
Yeah, that dude was get out of his way, or else he was moving you.
I don't know. I mean, oh well. I mean, granted, I will say this: Bowman Gray was multi-years better than what the LA Coliseum was racing style wise. I think the LA market is what really drove that race the last couple of years. But with like Bowman Gray actually being like a NASCAR track and like having actual consistent racing, like I think that's what kind of brought the feel around it, and also the racing was actually pretty good with how they were beating and banging with each other, and
the duels in LCQ were intense.
Yeah. I just hope you see that because that's been the Gen 7's Achilles heel has been short tracks. I mean, that's kind of been like the big story is how to improve the short track racing with this new car. So whatever they've changed differently with like tires, whatever. I mean, it obviously showed last week at Bowman Gray, like the big differences.
Yeah, I said duels, but I meant to say heats. But yeah,
Yeah.
those heat races were absolutely wild. And then that last chance qualifier, uh, it was more of the same. But I think the big story out of all that was the move by Ty Gibbs. I mean, that dude looked like David out there getting some airtime.
Yeah, you gotta be careful of those cars. You hit wrong, like he did. I mean, he set himself into the air, so that was kind of crazy to see, especially because they're not going fast. So it's kind of
Hmm.
catches you off guard, something like that happens. But yeah, I thought it was a huge success. Like Tuck said, I mean, the short track, we all worry about it. And I know that one's kind of a hard track to judge it, but I don't know if I'd ever want it. I don't even know if it'd be possible for them to really work something out. It could be like an actual point race, but as an expedition race and having a smaller market and getting the numbers they did was absolutely fantastic. I think the big story of how much it meant to the drivers was the fact that in years past we hear about teams kind of complaining about this event, like, oh, if we weren't a charter team, we're not coming, and blah blah blah. We're just losing money and blah blah. Well, if they had the same mentality, you would think we'd see those guys kind of rolling around in the heats and last chance. Like, who the hell cares if we make it? Huh. No, that was not the case. We had a lot of cars get destroyed. So it was awesome seeing the drivers actually obviously really care about this race, even though it didn't necessarily mean much. So kind of unlike, I guess, if this is our NASCAR preseason race, like if you compare it to like the NFL or NBA or something, they hit it out of the park. So shout out to the drivers for making it one heck of a show.
I mean, the race sucked that Chase Elliott got the win. Hated that part of it, but overall it was great. But Larson had a rough night. He got
Which is
spun a
weird
couple
you've
times.
coming from a Blaney fan because Chase Elliott and Blaney are like best friends.
I can't stand Chase though. Never have. Never been able to stand Chase.
Yeah, sorry I interrupted you, but I'm like, wait.
No, you're good.
Blaney and Elliott are best friends.
Well, that's like
Hate 'em.
Bubba. Blaney and Bubba are good friends.
That's
I
fair.
can't stand Bubba.
That's fair.
All I know is I cannot wait for the 500.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Next week.
exciting this year, especially with all the open cars. Like I wanted to pull up the list, just kind of like run through them, and we have 4 spots, technically 5 if Helio doesn't make it and gets into the 41st. But I mean, we have LaJoy in the 01 for Rick Ware, Allgaier in a JRM,
Allgaier in the
first ever
40.
JR. That's crazy in the 40. Yaley for New York in the 44. Okay. 56 and Martin Truex Jr. for Tricon, trying to make their first ever Cup start. Alfredo, of course, for Beard, the underdog team. Chandler Smith is doing the Garage 66 in the 66 car. Good luck in that entry. BJ, of course, for Live Fast in the 78. Of course, Jimmy Johnson for Legacy in the 84. And then you got Helio Chavez in the 91 for Trackhouse. So, I mean, that's a huge list. Like, unless Helio, like we said, ends up not making it and then having to use that provisional, over half of those are going to go home. And that's crazy. That's awesome to see that we have so many teams that are willing to take that risk to make the Daytona 500. That's giving me old school NASCAR vibes, where we'd send all kinds of guys home because we're only taking so many, and the guys were still willing to make that risk. For years, I feel like, there's only so many spots. A lot of teams financially was like, it's not worth it. Like, that's why we'd only see like 1, 2, max of 3 open cars go home, because it's like, it's not worth it. Like, the odds are against us. Why go and, possibly not make it? Now we're seeing those teams actually risk it for Daytona 500. I think this will be the only race we see this being a problem. But still, it should be a heck of a show, because there's a lot of big names on that list that if they don't make it will be storylines.
Yeah, I hope Elio makes it. I think that'd be huge. Just like Larson going over to Indy's side, I think it'd be
Elio's
huge
in it
if
no
he
matter
can.
what.
Oh,
He's
is
in
he?
no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
of the new rule. Yeah,
Yep.
he's in
Okay.
no matter what.
he will
But
be
if
in.
he-
But it'll be if he doesn't make it on qualifying, he won't be eligible for like points, which who cares, but money. So of course Trackhouse is going to want him to get in, which I'm sure, like I would say there's going to be a lot of favorites for that speed or get on qualifying. I'd say Helio should be one. We'll see what Legacy has. I don't want to say Johnson, but I'd imagine Truex with JRM, Joe Gibbs help in the 56, and then I would really circle Allgaier to get in on speed. With Hendrick help, they always do really good at qualifying at Daytona.
Mhm.
Like I would be honestly disappointed if he wasn't able to qualify in just on speed. So it's going to be tight this year.
If I had to give a prediction, I think the two that get in on qualifying are going to be Allgaier and Helio. If Helio doesn't screw anything up, I think like those two have Hendrick engines are going to be the two that make it. Um, so I think Helio, there's going to be, but if he doesn't, then he's going to end up probably getting the 41st century. But if I had to go off four that I think are going to make it, are Allgaier, Helio, um, Truex, and Johnson. I think those four are the ones that are going to be the four that end up in the race. So, but we'll see. You never. I mean, Johnson wrecked out of it last year, and freaking JJ Elliott about beat him.
Yeah.
So you never, you never know what's going to happen with that.
He would have beat him if he didn't get shuffled to the high line by himself.
Well, that was his own doing,
Yeah.
too. Because he thought the outside line was doing better, but
yeah.
Oh well, dang it, JJ. The one I want to see get in is BJ McLeod though, because I feel like he has had speed at super speedways the last couple of years, and like if it comes down to late race caution, that's the one guy I will root for to win any race.
Yeah. I wish him luck. I think there's a couple guys like Yaley's in the same boat. It's gonna be hard, but it's Daytona, so anything can happen. I mean, those duels, like any wreck can happen. You get lucky to miss it. But if I had to send my predictions, I think Allgaier will make it on speed. I'm gonna say Truex makes it on speed because I think it's a little bold to say Toyota's gonna make it. But I think there's just gonna be so much effort put in that car by Joe Gibbs and Tricon. Like I would be kind of shocked for both Tricon and JRM to not put a bunch of resources to this. So I'm expecting that. And then I'm gonna go to race their way in. I'm gonna give it to Alfredo just because he's been here a time or two, and Beard is always kind of really good super speedway cars. So I'm gonna say Alfredo makes it, and then I'll I'll go with LaJoy. You know what? Because I think there's a lot on his plate. It's gonna be a stressful situation for him. He's kind of got a weird kind of career path right now. And he's kind of in limbo his NASCAR career. So I think he ends up making it. I don't think Johnson actually hits lightning twice. I think he got lucky last year, and he'll end up missing. And I think Helio, honestly, when he doesn't make it on qualifying, he might. But if he doesn't, I think there's a good chance Trackhouse will look at it and go, I don't want you to run super hard in the duel and get crashed out and have to go to a backup car. Let's just go ahead and accept that you're going to be the 41st entry and go have fun with it in the primary car. So I think he'll kind of use that as advantage and probably just roll around in the duel.
But I think that he will race though in the duel because if they don't, if he, because there's a lot of money that gets invested into
There
it
is.
too.
But
So
they're making a lot
I
of
feel like
money
they're gonna
with
want to.
sponsorship and viewership, like all the attention he's
I
going to get in
mean,
sponsorship money. Like Trackhouse is making money even if they don't get any purse money from him racing, so I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal from him.
I
They
mean,
will lose a lot more money if he goes out in the duel and totals the car. I'll tell you that.
that's true too. Yeah.
So while we're on the topic of the 500, Tuck, gotta start off. Who is your pick for the 500?
Oh my gosh.
And then who
Put me on the
is
spot.
your sleeper? We're gonna keep that
Hold on.
tradition
Let me
going
pull
of
up.
picking your lock in and a sleeper.
My lock, I will go with a guy that has never won the 500. He's come close numerous times. Brad Keselowski
Ah,
is going to win the Daytona 500 this year. Lock himself in the playoffs because everyone keeps saying that Brad's not going to like make the playoffs this year because of how he struggled. He's going to win the first race of the year and make the playoffs. So I'll go Brad as my lock. My sleeper pick is someone that I feel like runs well at super speedways, but he technically won last year. Is Daniel Suarez, another guy that is in a spot where he's only on a 1 year deal. And what better way with all the future uncertainty with Trackhouse because you have everyone that's was between Zilich and everything else. I mean, heck, Zane Smith got kicked to the curb. He runs well at super speedways. If he's there at the end, I feel like Suarez has an opportunity to win that too. So I will go with Keselowski and Suarez.
I honestly think some small team's going to win their first race, and I think the two that I circle is, well, I say first race. First race or first race in a long time. And I think that is front row with those new guys. I like get their first career win for one of those guys or Spire. I think those teams have a heck of a chance this week. I mean, Front row had all kinds of speed at super speedways last year. I'm sure they're going to have the same speed again. And then Spire, I mean, we know Chevy usually starts off strong at Daytona. They've got big Chevy backing now. I think they're going to come with fast cars, and they got a lot of guys hungry, ready to get going. So I would really watch out for those teams. They've got numbers and they have speed. So watch out for them to get together and help each other in the 500. If I got to give you a guy that I'm going to circle, I was going to cheat and say 2, and Brad was going to be 1 because I think one of these guys wins their first over 500 finally. And I think Brad's one to watch, and the other, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch.
Don't you say it. That was going to be my
it-
lock. He was going to be my
I-
lock.
I just think, like, yeah, Cap's me mad that I picked him. He always says anytime I say anything about Kyle, he gets jinxed. But, like, it just, Kyle Busch, it was a frustrating season for him. So close, but so far. And the 500 has been like that for his career, too. Kind of reminds me of Tony Stewart. Always there, but never could win. I just think somebody's finally, like, my favorite. I would watch out for these guys to finally break through. Brad being one, or Kyle. Both of those guys have constantly, we always see them lead laps and be in the top 5 of these races. No matter what the heck car, no matter what the heck we're doing at Daytona, they're always there. And they never seem to get it. This year, I'm going to say Kyle breaks through. Uh, Sleeper, I mean, I guess I've already kind of said the sleeper. Probably be one of those guys for Spire or front row. If I'm going to pick one to circle, I was going to say Todd Gilliland because he did so well last year, but I don't know if he's considered a sleeper if he's that high in DraftKings.
16-1, dude.
I
Like,
would
that's-
consider him a sleeper.
You think he's a sleeper?
Yes.
He has better odds to win than William Byron, who won the 500 last
Okay,
year.
now
Byron
that-
is 20 to
That's
1.
wild.
Byron's,
That's
Byron's
insane.
20 to 1. Gilliland is 16 to 1.
Someone must have put a big bet on him when he was still low, and then he must have boosted or some crap. I'm cheating and saying Todd Gilliland because Ronnie said I got the green light on that. I just think he had so much speed at super speedways last year, and he's driving the car that had a bunch of speed too. Like he is driving front row's best super speedway car, and he already had good speed in the 38 last year at super speedway. So I think Todd Gilliland will be a man on a mission this year. I mean, he's one of those guys I think is going to be close to making the playoffs this season. I mean, he's had a heck of a like Todd Gilliland is proof of why I feel like the NFL we complain when they go like they give up on a player too quickly. I think Todd Gilliland's proof of why you just got to kind of develop your guys and keep rolling. Like front row's been developing as an organization, and Todd Gilliland's been improving as a driver. And I think this is the year they kind of see where it was worth doing that because he's consistently got better, and now he's in their eyes is the main driver. I don't know if he has the most like the highest ceiling of their drivers. I think Noah and Zane have a huge ceiling if they could ever hit it. But Todd Gilliland has developed and got better and better each season. I would watch out for him to be a dark horse in the 500.
All right, Ronnie, who's your picks?
Well, my lock, I had said earlier, was Kyle Busch when Peyton decided to take him as well. Yeah, I think this is just the year he finally gets it done. He almost got it done at Daytona the last time they were there, except for, Jeff's little boy decided to take it down the backstretch and get the win. But
yeah, where's Harrison? Where's the reigning Daytona winner odds on? Oh wait, he's not in the race. Oh darn.
So I think Kyle Busch can finally get it done. I think this is his year. I would love to pick Blaney, but we all know how Ford is. They don't start the season off very good. Then they kick it up at the halfway point. So I'm avoiding Ford in this pick. So yeah, Kyle Busch is my lock, and then Tuck, I think you're gonna appreciate this sleeper pick, and I'm going Justin Haley, man.
No.
Seriously, I'm not picking
Former
him.
Daytona winner.
I'm not.
Yes,
but I'm not picking him because of his driving. I'm picking him for one reason, one reason only, is because of the crew chief that they threw on that 7.
That's fair.
I mean, excuse me, Rodney Childers. He's a former championship winning crew chief. Obviously, he knows how to do it. And I think that's going to be a good pairing I hate to say it, but I think that's going to be a good pairing for Haley and Rodney. And that's why I'm picking him is not Haley's driving, but because of Rodney.
I don't know what it is about that 7 car, but Justin Haley did not race aggressively in the 51, and then he gets in the 7 and he's a bulldozer now.
LaJoy, I'm telling you, it's the LaJoyism,
I don't know. I just feel like if he keeps his head on in races like how he did in the 51, he'll get consistent top 15s the whole season.
Hey boys, there's a big game tonight. The Super Bowl.
Yeah, the NEXXTCAR All-Star race.
But the Super Bowl is here, and it's the Chiefs and Eagles again. Starting to kind of sound like a broken record here, but yeah, it's. I think it's gonna be. I hope it's a good game. I think it will. I think it'll be a close game, and you guys want
The
to.
last time they rematched, it was close. Didn't it go to overtime last time, or that was the last year? Last year it went to OT.
I'm
Can't
not
remember
sure,
if
to
the
be
other one did.
honest. I don't
But
think I
I
watched
think
it.
it's gonna come. I mean, obvious. I'm gonna stay here, but it's gonna come down to if the Eagles can run the ball with Barkley. If they have to rely on Jalen Hurts to throw the ball, I think I think the Chiefs win. If Barkley can run and then Hurts can manage the game, I think the Eagles have a good shot. So I've said the Eagles are gonna win 29-26 all week, but we'll see. We'll see how it
That's
goes.
low.
It's a weird score. Like
I
29,
thought mine was
26.
weird. I thought
Is
my
that
pick
ever?
was weird.
We gotta search that out. Has that ever been a score in an NFL game? That might be an origami. Like
The
what?
Colts scored 29 points when they beat the Bears in the Super Bowl.
What are you? Okay, I like how you're just bringing this out of left field. Like I'm glad you know that off the top of your head.
Because being in Indiana, you know what the
It, it,
Colts. What they
well,
do.
to be fair, it was Peyton's first Super Bowl. It was 29-16, right?
Yeah, it's 29-17. You're close.
17. I was close. Look at me, know my knowledge. But still, um, I to me, I think this game will be interesting. I know a lot of people think, "Oh, Chiefs going to win." I was told by my sister this week, like, "Why are you going to watch it? You know, KC's going to win." I disagree. I would think. I'll be honest. I think the NFL would get so much backlash if KC wins. It would be rough.
Yeah.
So I think this might be a game where you actually see Eagles get a little more luck with stuff like that. And my prediction all week has been that there's gonna be a situation where the Chiefs are down. Touchdown wins the game. Patrick Mahomes gets the ball at the end of the game and fails. I think you end up losing this game. I think I'm gonna go Eagles 34, Chiefs. I went 28. That's been my prediction all week. 34-28, 6-point game on the line. Can win the touchdown, and they lose. There might be some controversial things happen, but we'll see. But I'm just hoping for a good game, to be honest. Like I told people this was a sucky season for football in me because my worst possible outcome for college happened, where the two teams I hate the most made it, and then NFL, the two teams I didn't want to see the most, made it in it as well. So I'm just hoping it's at least entertaining, and maybe I'll make some money and bets on it and make me a little bit happier about the situation. But either way, a former Titans wide receiver is winning the Super Bowl, so congrats to them. Woo.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with the Eagles winning. I think they get it done on a final drive. I think it's going to come down in the closing moments. I think it's going to be a 38-35 game. Eagles win it 42-38. I think they come away, get it done, and I think it's going to come down to a last couple minute or final drive scenario. And yeah, I got the Eagles 42-38.
I swear to God, KC.
So we're all picking the Eagles.
That seems bad, but
Someone's got to pick the Chiefs.
No,
Also, FYI,
I can't
I'm
do
on
it.
Scoregami. I'm on Scoregami. 29-26 has happened 11 times. The last being the Seahawks beating the Commanders 29-26 in 2023.
wow, so it's happened recently. Okay,
Mhm.
well, 11 times is not common though. Think how many games there have been. That's still a rare one, but that's a weird score. How the heck how did you come up with that? Like, what do you think's gonna happen? A safety and field goals and how'd you come?
Field
Score
goals.
21
I
and
was just
then
thinking.
go for
I was
8.
just thinking like they score a touchdown, get to 27, and then they want to go ahead by 2 or be ahead by 3 for field goal. They
Okay,
get the
so
2 point.
4 touchdowns with a 2
Win that.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you get to 26 though? Like a bunch of field goals? Like
Well, I don't know. I
see,
just
you gotta you gotta have like an idea. Like
I mean, there's a safety, 3 touchdowns, and a field goal.
you're predicting a safety now. Go ahead and
Damn.
put. I need to see that bet. Like
Wait, you said
put
what?
your name out there.
26?
He said
26, yeah.
Nah, three
Safety, touchdown, field goal.
touchdowns, a missed PAT, and 2 field goals.
Oh, there you go.
Dang, you think
That's probably a little more realistic than a safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think
All right, cool.
Harrison Bucker, the woman lover himself, is gonna miss the PAT? That's messed up.
Never say never.
Right.
I mean, they are in a dome though, so I mean,
That doesn't mean
I
anything.
don't know. They
Ohio
shouldn't be-
State butchered
shouldn't
the
be
hell
missing
out of the
kicks.
field goal 2 years ago. That don't mean
Okay,
nothing.
there's a difference between a college player and a professional athlete.
Not necessarily. They were college at one point.
Wait, hold on. Well, I said 29-26. Peyton, what score did you say?
34-28, 6-point game.
34-28. 34-28 has happened.
That's a lot. That's a
40
common score.
42 times. The last time was the Bills beating the Cardinals this year.
That's
What did you
surprising
say?
to me.
What did you say, Ronnie?
42-38.
42-38 has happened.
That also seems common.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot. Where's that? 42-38's been only 2 times.
That's it?
That's it?
42-38 has only been 2 times. The Rams beating the Bears in 1954, and the last time was the Dolphins beating the Ravens in 22.
So I feel like that's such a common score to get.
Yeah,
it's so easy.
I feel like magnets. It's gotta be like a very common
boy.
I mean,
on Scoregami, it's only happened 2 times.
Dude, I feel like that's such an easy common score.
That's 6 touchdowns and then 5 touchdowns with a field goal.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that is a very easy score to get.
I'm shocked.
You said 42-38, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 times.
That's stupid.
So my 29-26 is
the fact that 29-26 is more common.
Yeah.
There's your fun fact for the day,
hating.
fans.
You guys were hating.
God.
Stop hating.
I'm gonna have to go put money on both of y'all's scores now that we've talked about this, because one of them's happening now. We've talked about it.
That just seems
Go
like
ahead.
such a easy score, so common. That's wild.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Obviously not.
Huh. Who would have thunk?
Not you.
Yeah.
There you go. Fun fact
Yeah,
of the day.
not me.
Yeah.
I thought for sure it was gonna be like, oh, this score has happened 387 times.
I'm kind of tempted to go look at the odds on DraftKings, like if it's like actually like a low number. Like, nope, you guys are wrong.
And then it's just a complete
All I know.
air assault.
All I know is I always watch Super Bowl start to finish, but I swear to God, if Casey like runs away with it and I see Taylor Swift like double-digit times, I might turn it off. Like I ain't watching. I think it's stupid. Like,
Gee, are they gonna have
it better
are they
be
gonna have
good.
a Taylor Swift cam again this year?
I'm freaking sure. I mean, that'd be a bad drinking game, guys. Every time you hear the word Taylor Swift or see her face, take a sip, you'll be freaking black out by
You wouldn't make
midnight,
it past second quarter.
But hey, once it's all said and done, think about it like this, guys. The second the Super Bowl ends, all attention goes to our franchises, guys. The number 1 pick and number 2 pick. Woo!
Yippee.
Go us.
I feel like we should have played each other instead of the Pro Bowl, all that stupid shit, like for the number 1
For
seed.
the number 1.
No,
Yeah.
because we'd have choked that. We like choking shit. We'd probably fucking went out there and won 45-3. Like,
No,
We'll
it
let
would
us look like a god.
have been 42-38.
42-38, exactly. That's the score we were looking for. Jesus Christ.
Sure as hell would have been 26-29.
It's happened more. It's happened more than yours.
That's so stupid. Anyway.
Oh God. We don't go points paying racing for 2 more weeks, but tonight we have got our NEXXTCAR All-Star race all kicking off once again at 8 p.m. So you're not going to want to miss it. A lot of drivers, they got some stuff to take care of tonight. No points on the line, so hey, we'll see how that goes down. But hey, in 2 weeks, it all goes head to head at Darlington when we find out who will be battling for that NEXXTCAR Truck Series playoffs. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will catch you guys tonight. Hope you guys enjoy it. Have a good one, everybody.
Fly, Eagles, fly.